Recording in progress. Okay. Good evening, Toastmasters. The overall theme for the month is gifts. Tonight we'll talk about 1985. That's a long time ago, isn't it? I attended a class, a semester-long class at our community college. It was a career life class, and it revolved around these 6 letters, which you're going to learn tonight. RIASEC. Here's one for Edward. Here's one for Sachin. And we'd be able to put that up for us in a moment. But let me tell you about the guy who created this whole department of career life planning at a community college outside Washington, D.C. It became the model for the nation. And his name was Dr. Dave Borchard. He's a great team builder. The course was 3 credits, 16 weeks. Really got to know one another. There were people from all the generations, young people looking to start a career, retirees looking for a second career. A lot of displaced homemakers start going into the career world again. It was very fascinating because Dave was such a team builder. It's worth a speech. Just his style of leadership, communitarian, collaborative kind of leadership got to thinking, what are your passions? Who are you? What do you really like to do? Are we getting that? Do we have the Raya set?
I have it up.
Does everybody see it? The hexagon? Hello?
We can't, there we go.
You got it? All right. RIASEC. Here's the science. A Dr. John Holland, a psychologist of the workplace, said you can divide the whole world of work into these 6 domains. Now, if you match your personality with the personalities of the people who are working in that group, you're going to have a happier work life, right? Everything will go along fine. All right, let's have our word of the day. There's no precious joy yet. Or is there? Precious joy isn't.
No, I don't see it.
Isn't.
I can get one real quick if we need to.
All right, let's move on to the inspirational moment. Rob is here.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. New Hampshire.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I hope you're warm and toasty in Florida as we are cold and freezing here in New Hampshire as I woke up to snow. Well, that's not much of an inspirational moment. So here's what I'd like to share with you. Our theme this month is on gifts. And along with gifts come presents. And I just finished a book by the author Amy Cuddy, Cuddy. And the title of the book was called Presence, Presence. And she talks about the greatest gift that we can give others is the gift of our presence. She talks about the physiology and everything that is involved, and that how not only can we talk ourselves to being more present with others, but we can assume postures. She called it the Wonder Woman pose. if you are feeling nervous and not being able to be present, perhaps when you're giving a speech or talking with someone, you can actually change your posture, which changes your attitude. As I was thinking about the gifts this month, I can't think of a greater gift than we could give our fellow man, our friends, our acquaintances, more than the gift of our presence. I'd like to conclude this inspirational moment with a poem by Marianne Williamson, who is an author. She says, our greatest fear, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talent, and fabulous? That reminds me of you, Mary, fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? I know it's one of your favorite words. Who are you not to be? You're a child of God. You playing small doesn't do the world any good. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. So this month, go out there, be present with others, and let your light shine. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow. Let your little light shine. Let your little light shine. Wonderful, Rob. That Marianne, amazing. If only we could do that for ourselves and for others. That's what RIASEC is all about. Now I'm going to violate the first tenet of adult education. I'm going to read to you. I know you can read, but just to move things along, I'm going to start with the R, because I have a little story connected with the R. Realistic people. You see, things. They're interested in things. They have athletic or mechanical ability. They prefer to work with objects, machines, tools, plants, or animals, or to be outdoors. Preference for working with things as opposed to ideas or people or words. They prefer concrete problems over abstract problems. Well, as I said, that Dave Borchard, who did this course, was a real team builder. Even after the first couple of nights, we would congregate in the parking lot on the way.
Can't hear her.
Rosemary.
Edward, can you hear her? Jim, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Rob. I can't hear Rosemary.
Okay.
I think we can hear each other, but we can't hear her.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think they can hear us there.
Wow. Huh. Edward, can you hear me? I don't think he can.
I'll make a
Mary.
phone. I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Or I can chat him.
Yes. Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Just
hear
the
each
virtual
other.
people.
I think they just lost audio there.
Yeah.
Well, I have a word of the day if they need it, because I had one a couple of weeks back, and then they got yanked for a new person, and I'm like, oh good, because I had something to do that night. And I have a word of the day in in the stash, you know, if anybody, if we
Okay.
ever get back.
All right. He says he's working on it.
Yeah.
Is the chat showing up for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can have our own little mini meeting if we need to.
Well, anyway, Robert,
Yes,
it's mine. It's very lovely. It's a 2-bedroom, and it wouldn't, you know, it's free and cheap, and it could be cozy if you don't have a rental.
Okay, can you guys hear us again?
I'll
There we
talk
go.
to you later. All right, here we go.
Sam. Can you hear us, Sam?
Yes,
Yes.
my turn.
Your
turn.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guest. My role as the humorist is to lighten up the meeting by telling either a joke, sharing a funny story, an anecdote, quote, or any other kind of humor. And for those of you that have been here for my humorous moments, you know I don't stick with one. And Edward, I apologize, this first one you might not like. I asked the IT guy, how do you make a motherboard? He said, I tell her about my job. How does Cinderella drop from the soccer team? She kept running away from the ball. I wanted my kids to watch the orchestra, but I had to turn it off. Too much sax and violins. That's sax and moving on. How does a computer get drunk? Take screenshots. What's the best thing about living in Switzerland?
Chocolate.
I don't know, but the flag is a big bonus. And last but not least, I had an appointment to see my psychic next week, but she called to cancel. She said I won't be able to make it. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
1, 2, 3, groan. You are a punster, Sam. You can't take the punishment. But did you notice what Sam did? Thank you for our guest benefit. Sam described the role that he was doing. Now, let's talk about the investigators, the investigative people. People who like to observe, learn, investigate, analyze, evaluate, solve problems primarily of scientific or mathematical nature. We know a few people like that, don't we? We have a few people in this club. They prefer to work with ideas as opposed to people who do not like highly structured settings. These are the computer types. These are the scientists, obviously. Investigators of all types. All right, let's stop right there. Edward is here and he's got the educational moment for us. Why do we need an educational moment, Edward?
Thank you. We need an educational moment so we can all learn something new. That's if you're not learning, you're not growing. So I really like to learn. I think a lot of people in the Toastmasters like to learn. Educational moment is for that purpose. I wanted to, you see me in 2 different screens now. That's cool. I wanted to share, when I do educational, I often dip into the technical arena. I wanted to share something, I talked about it in a meeting. It's called Camtasia. And I'm using it for Toastmasters. At one of our, I think it was the officers meeting, we talked about how we could more easily show someone how to use our website and sign up for the roles through our club website. And Camtasia is a product. I'll share my screen. Camtasia. It's an audio video product where, can you guys hear the audio to that? And you can make your, you can record yourself, your voice, and you can also record your image if you want, while you're recording what's on the computer screen. So I made a real quick video on how to log in and to our club website and sign up for a role, and I put it on YouTube, and then I will have a link posted where tutorial link where we have this link and we have other links that will, oh, you're not seeing this part of my screen. Let me share it again. Where we have, I better not talk and try to do this at the same time. So here we go, signing up for. So now you can see this where I posted it to YouTube, and it just walks through the process of logging into our website and signing up for a role. This applies to Toastmasters, but the applications are infinite. You can do this to train other people in your office, or just for self-help tutorials. You can become a YouTuber. You can say how cool, whatever you want to show. It's easy to use. It's like video editing software. It's not too expensive, and a lot of instructors use it. I know some teachers have asked me how to use it, and I've helped some people there. I'll be posting this video to our website, and then once the person logs in, they can click on the video and learn how to sign up for a role on our website. So that's my educational moment. If anyone has other ideas on what they would think would be good videos related to the club, or if they have questions on Camtasia, I'm happy to answer them. So there you go. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you, Edward. Perfect example of the investigative personality. Now, since I live with an investigator, a computer programmer at home, I will have him interpret for me just what Edward has just said. See, I don't even have to write notes, because then we come to the A people, the creativity people, the artistic people, people who have artistic, innovative, intuitional abilities. Do we know anybody like that around here? They like to work in unstructured situations. Structure, here's creativity or imagination. Prefer working with self-expressive ideas. Kind of self-explanatory, isn't it? Now, why did Dr. Holland, put the A people right next to the I people? That seems odd, doesn't it? Artists and scientists? Well, wait a minute. Don't scientists have to be pretty creative? I mean, even look at the theoretical physicists. Einstein intuited that whole thing, apparently, when he was only 23 years old, E equals mc squared. That's the inspiration part and the work. And what about artistic? Don't artists have to be investigators? Right? If an actor is going to portray an ex-murderer, for instance, doesn't he have to find out about the personality of the ex-murderers? Doesn't he have to dig and do research? Same with a writer. Writers writing about the 14th century, better find out about it. And of course, this only shows that nobody is one thing. You are not just one of these things. You are at least 3 of these. We'll talk about that later. Look at Leonardo Da Vinci. We think of him as an artist. He actually only produced 12 paintings himself. His students painted a whole lot more. But to get the perfect face and the articulation of muscle, he did autopsies. Quite an investigator. Oh, great. Well, at last, we've arrived at the speaking portion of our meeting, and our past president, Dan, is speaking to us from the Educational Better Speakers series using body language. Oh, when it's 10 to 15 minutes, that's Good. How are we doing for time, Mr. Madam Timer?
Oh, okay, well, you're rambling a little there, but, you know, we love it. But for Dan, I have him 10 to 15 minutes. Is that right? The speech?
10 to 15.
Yes.
Right, Tim? Welcome, Dan.
Okay. I'm trying to get myself on the screen. All right. Edward, I'm trying.
How about now? Still there, Dan? Dan, we can see your, I guess your phone, you're sharing on your phone. We can see that using body language, but we can't hear you.
I can't seem to get it. So I wanted to get the cards up for you guys, but I'm having trouble. Hold on.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, if you want to start, I can hear you.
Yeah, we're waiting on Dan. I think he's trying to work on his audio on his phone. I think he's sharing his slides on his phone.
Okay. Just so you guys, you other timers, I'm going with green with 1 minute left. You guys?
Green, if it's a 10 to 15 minute speech, it would be green at 10, yellow at 12, and then red at 15 with 30 seconds to finish.
Yes.
Okay, so I hope Dan hears that. So at 10, I'm going to put a green one up, at 12, yellow, and at 15, red.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, guys. Fix my own technical issues here.
Your audio sounds much better, Mary. Thank you. I don't know what you did, but you fixed it right before.
You're muted, Dan.
How's that?
There's a little bit of a loop back. You can only have one mic on, so either the mic on your computer or the mic on your mobile. Now we don't, I hear you talking, but we don't, the volume, the audio is not coming through. Or we see you talking, but the audio is not coming through. Oh dear.
Are you able to just leave the meeting from your laptop, Dan?
Can't hear you.
Still can't hear your audio, Dan. Sorry.
Oh.
Nope, it says you're muted.
Give it a kick.
I mean,
Isn't that what you do?
Dan?
All right. Let's see if we get too much feedback here.
We do.
See,
I feel you.
What do you, how are you trying to share the presentation? Maybe I can talk you through it.
all right.
Oh my gosh. Double clutching, Dan.
Wait a minute. Let me get just patience here.
Technology is great when it works.
Okay, try it now.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me? I'm not.
Oh, there's still feedback.
It's usually better than this guy, the new fella. Trust us, it gets better.
Why don't you-
How about can you email me those slides or send those slides to me and then I'll share them?
Oh, okay, thank you. Better yet, let's just cut out. All right. Listen, just a minute. Patience.
Can you turn off the sharing?
That is so bad.
Okay, I turned off the sharing. Maybe that should help.
All right.
There's an echo.
This is technical difficulty. Okay. All right. I'm done in person.
Okay.
Toastmasters, Chachin, good to see you. I'm talking about body language. Sometimes just screens are a distraction anyway. Body language is a tool. It helps us to emphasize, show our sincerity and our credibility. I've listed 3 resources at the bottom of the agenda that I'm drawing from. One of these is the 5 secrets of TED Talks. Now, if you're not familiar, TED Talks has a wide variety of fascinating topics. Great speakers. In fact, one of our own was a speaker on TED Talks. There was a study that they had hundreds of hours of these TED Talks. These are 15 to 20-minute talks on very different topics from really great speakers. Hundreds of volunteers saw these and they rated them. The interesting thing, the top TED Talks were the same whether they had sound or whether they were muted. That gives you the value of body language. Now, there are 3 basic general categories for body language. One is the facial expressions. This is the most expressive part of your body. Then there's gestures. Usually we're talking hands and arms. And then there's whole body movement, which can have an effect. Now, the facial expressions give meaning behind what you're saying. One of the things that you want to do is emphasize the personal contact with your audience. My priest, he has a way of going to the one side of the chapel, to the middle, and to the other. That's exactly to make me feel like he's making contact. But now you only have one job, is to make eye contact with your audience. And you look them in the eye, complete a thought, and then move on to the next topic. Complete a thought, and then move on to somebody else. In Zoom world, it's a lot easier. We just have one audience member, and that's the camera. Now, you want to match the message, match your face to the message. We have, for example, an example of a way not to do it. Don Henley with the Eagles, he wrote Dirty Laundry. So the news reporter was telling about a plane crash with a gleam in her eye, almost as if she was getting satisfaction. So if it's a sad situation, you want to look sad. If it's happy, you want to look happy. The other side of the stick is, have you ever run into somebody that said, hey, if you're having a good time, let your face know, because it's not hard to tell. Now, important thing with your face is to smile. One suggestion, early and often. People see that as a way that you're enjoying them, that you're liking to be with them. And it's said that leaders don't smile that much as other people. And that's probably true, because they, what's the saying, heavy the crown that rests on the head of the king. But the leaders carry a lot of weight and they may not smile that much. We're not talking about leaders, we're talking about speakers. And the speakers in the TED research, they found that people were ranked more intelligent if they smiled. It doesn't have to be all laughs and jokes either. I mean, you could have Sheryl Sandberg gave a great one. She's from Facebook. She gave a pretty somber talk, serious talk, but she found a way to smile at some points, which increases her intelligence, and also makes a warm and friendly presentation. Now, gestures, we have the conventional. Everybody knows these. Stop. I have two things I want to say tonight. Or the open hand. This is an open hand. And when I was a kid, we had black and white about the origins of one thing and the other. And the thing was a handshake, and they had these two old grizzly guys in their bear skins and everything. And they'd approach each other like they were going to fight and stuff. And all of a sudden, they grab each other's arms like that, and they shook like that. Well, if you have open hands, you can't hold a weapon. So that's the way the handshake started, supposedly. And that's the way when you're talking, the open hand is a good, hey, I come in peace. There's the emotional, and again, this is all in my resources. If you want to, you don't have to take good notes tonight. You can go back into resources. The emotional, for example, would be, my wife's a great cook. And she says, what do you want, this or that? And I know they're both great. I said, me, I'm indifferent. I don't care, because I know they're both great. There's also the guy, what really jerks me up, my chain is the waiter that says, oh, I don't need to write anything down. And then they either come back and ask you what you ordered again, or they bring the wrong thing. That really gets me fired up, So this is emotional gestures, that you can work with. I want to spend a little time on the descriptive gestures, though. This is where I think we can really it will behoove us to pay a little attention to and improve. It's a big payoff. And again, this is a TED research. They looked at the top speeches, the bottom speeches, they had 124,000 views on average, which to me, I'd be walking on cloud 9 if I had 100,000 people looking at my speech. But the top speeches were 7 million. This is comparable talent and everything. It's not like you're comparing a superstar. These are comparable known people. 7 million views, 50 times as much. What's the difference? One of the differences, hand gestures. 265 during a 15 to 20 minute speech for the lower rated. 472 for the top, almost twice as many. So keep those hands moving within reason. I'll give you an example of descriptive. My grandson Dylan and I were fishing at the pier down in Sarasota last Saturday. We caught some snappers. Well, I caught one. He caught a bunch. I'm kind of the facilitator. But then when we were in the Black Hills in South Dakota, we caught some trout. Okay. Well, that was great. However, the river south of Great Falls, Montana, we caught some big trout. So that's an example of description. Another one is, one of the tips is if it's less than 5, use your hand. You got 5 fingers. For example, let's talk about the 3 Stooges. There's Moe, Larry, and Curly. Okay, so it's an example. The other way, using your hands, is a comparison. A new car is terrific. It's safer, won't break down as much. And that new car smell, how are you going to beat it? It's maybe the most expensive thing on earth, but hey, it's great. On the downside, you got the cost of it. And come on, when you have a new car, you're not just going to park anywhere. You can't park around any of these beaters that are out there. You got to park way out in the parking lot so nobody parks around you. So that's a comparison, one side and the other. Rosemary and Noel are going to a great extreme to have this party on the 12/15. It's going to be fun. Why are they doing this? Well, it's going to bring us together as a club. Maybe have some guests in there. See what I'm doing? You can use it to underline what you're saying. On the other hand, hey, I like Zoom because as we traveling across the country, we can always stay in touch with our fellow Toastmasters. Now, just for practical purposes, they're recommending to stay in a strike zone. Strike zone, shoulders down to the hips, anything across the plate, that's considered a strike in baseball. Now in Zoom land, you can't see from here down. So I just have to work in the top part of the strike zone, you might say. One tip here, if you're talking about yourself, use this little technique here. For example, hey, my kids are great. My grandkids are even better. For me, it's one of the highest points of my week to spend time with them. Fishing with grandson Dylan, or I'm coming up to Illinois. I'm up here now. On Sunday, I got an appointment with my 4- and 6-year-old granddaughters, Gwen and Lucy. We're going to cut down a Christmas tree out in the Christmas tree farm. So that's really important to me. All right, here's a couple of don'ts. Do not point. I don't care. Just do not point. People hate that. They don't like to be that finger wagging thing. Just don't do it. Okay. And don't repeat too much. You know, this one is good, but if you can't repeat over and over, it kind of loses its effectiveness. So, like the old saying, moderation in all things. And here's one. Hey, you might start out with the best of intentions. Like, I'm going to use this pen to point at something on the board. Okay, fine. Put it down. Because invariably, you're going to play with it. You know, you're just distracted. You know, you distract yourself sometimes. You know, so don't hold the object. All right. What about the body? You should be straight, relaxed, ready to go. Poised to make a move. If your neutral is your hands at your side. For example, if you're talking a lot, that kind of thing, you say, oh, gee, I was doing my hands a lot that way. Just drop your hands. It kind of resets everything. Okay, so hands at the sides. But on the other hand, you want to show your hands more than that. They did research. There was a leader. He was the guy that walked around with his hands behind his back, you know. He was talking to his posse, I guess, in the boardroom or whatever. And nobody was getting what he was talking about. And then he brought his hands out. He started, you know, this and that. And all of a sudden, bam, the light bulbs went on. So people like to see your hands. Even if you're up at that lectern, have them so they can see it. I want to give you an example of using your body on stage. There's 2 ways you can do it. Let's say a chronological deal. I want to talk to you tonight about office machinery. Well, originally there was clay tablets, and we made impressions in the clay tablets to keep track of everything. Then we invented the pencil, and we could write down stuff on paper. Now we have computers in the office. I know some of you want to throw those clay tablets at the computer, but that's okay. That's chronological. We also have the area or subject matter. For example, let's talk about production in the modern America company. Well, we have the production area. We have the sales department that sells what's produced. And then we have the accounting department that will help keep track of everything. So you could have chronological. You can have, you know, use your body to highlight different areas. Let's get down to practice. This is very important time. And in the old days, I would use the mirror exclusively, almost, because I could see myself work and everything like that. However, once Zoom came around, I started seeing the magic and the power of the video recording. It's fantastic. In fact, I gave myself a evaluation earlier. Hey, I got to check on these points. So the camera doesn't lie. So I would recommend doing it. In fact, I got a new phone and transferred everything. I didn't have any storage. I had to go back through and delete stuff. Well, I had 77 videos of myself giving speeches. So I was deleting them. And I still ended up with a new phone because, hey, I'm not going to delete little Lucy when she was this big in a swing, and now she's 6 years old. There's no way. My memory's not that good. I have to rely on the photos. You want this to be a natural outgrowing. You know, it's not like I guess I'm kind of expressive. You want to be kind of natural. One tip on this is one thing I would not do in the car. I would limit that. I had a job. I was at 500 miles a week, so I had a lot of time in the car. I was preparing for speeches. I would do all these movements and stuff, and I was fine, except that people, sometimes you get some kind of looks from the other cars that are around you, because unless they're in Toastmasters, they don't really know what's going on. They don't know if you need help or not. Now, there's a fella, his name is Konstantin Stanislavski. You probably never heard of him.
Oh,
Konstantin Stanislavski, he's the father of modern acting. I bet you've heard of Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Dean, Meryl Streep. They were all either taught by him or through his school, his method. But he said the language of the body is the key that can unlock the soul. Toastmasters, we put a lot of effort into the spoken word. Let's try to put a lot of effort into the unspoken word. It really makes a difference. Madam Toastmaster.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for your speech. Right. Let's have a minute of silence now for you to give Dan your gifts, your pearls, your own mini evaluation.
Okay, so my time might be off. Maybe we have 10 more seconds because I hit the start and then I started typing how fabulous Dan was and the damn thing didn't start.
We can't spare 10 seconds.
We can't. Sam, you're getting that sense of humor. All right, we are done. We have our minute.
Yes, that's I guess that's a minute, isn't it? You have to come back to another meeting. More typical meetings. Always technical glitches. What are you gonna do?
Time for table topics.
All righty, our minute is up, yes, I'm sure. Let's, we don't need to vote. I guess we'll just call Dan the best speaker of the evening by commendation. All righty. I'm going to do the S and the E together. The social people, the social and the enterprising, task-oriented people. Social is pretty self-explanatory. The nurses of the world, the teachers of the world, any kind of therapist, mental health therapist, physical therapist. People like to work with people to inform, enlighten, help, cure them, help them live up to their potential, prefer problem solving through discussion. See, the investigator tends to go off by himself to solve problems or herself. Social area likes to help people hands-on. Enterprising people like to help people too, but they like to help people by influencing them, persuading and leading them, managing them for economic gain in a company or the goals of an organization like Toastmasters. Enjoy leadership positions. So you see how they follow each other around. Now, at the end of the meeting, the wrap up, you're going to choose 3 of those categories. You get a major and a minor and a third. And that will be what's called your Holland Code, where you think, as I said, nobody is just one thing. And if it's really, really a dead heat, if you really can't decide between one of that, you get to choose 4. So it shows the multiplicity of personality. This it just shows how multiplex we are, and then the world of work is also. Alrighty, let's move on to our table topics. And Sam is table topics. All right, Sam, what's you got for us tonight?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Sasheen, my role as topics master is to help members increase their extemporaneous or impromptu speaking. The way we do this is by improving on skills that we can develop for usually 1 to 2 minute speeches. What I tend to do, sometimes we might ask for volunteers. I don't roll that way. I'm also a sarcastic person by nature. So, without further ado, Robert McGuire.
How did I know? I knew you were going to call on me first.
If you would please tell us, what do you feel is the biggest factor that has helped you be successful in life?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, for that great question. I just was visiting my youngest daughter, who lives in Austin, Texas. And she's feeling a bit stuck right now in her job. And this very question came up. And I told her that there was a point in time in my career when I felt stuck too. And what got me out of it was saying and admitting that I needed help. And so that I asked somebody to come help me. I was in my practice, my early years of my dental practice, and I felt like it was running me and I was running out of gas. Well, I asked somebody to help me, like the mentoring we do in Toastmasters. And that made all the difference in the world. So the first step was just crying, "Uncle, I need help." And someone was more than willing to help me improve my practice and get back on track to having fun. The other thing I learned, so that was the first thing. The second thing I learned was it's about connection before credentials. In my early stages, I'd be talking to patients, blah, 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 about all this technical dental crap that didn't mean anything to them. Well, once I started taking time and getting to know them as a person and what their needs were and shut up and started listening more, life got better. So 2 things you asked me about success in my career was 1, asking for help, and 2, changing the focus off of me and putting it on the people that I was tasked to serve. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Thanks for that question.
Thank you for that answer. I have to admit that one of the things I don't do frequently enough of is asking for help. It's, for all of us, I'm sure, a pride thing. That's one thing that I know I need to work on and improve on. So thank you for stating that.
Okay.
Moving on to Edward Grease. My question for you is, what mistakes have you made along the way that you've learned from and improved on?
Edward's never made mistakes. The mistakes along the way from what was
What are the mistakes that you've made along the way to where you are now, and what have you learned from them?
In life or my job or just generally speaking?
In life.
The mistakes I've made in life and whatever. Okay. Like most people, I've made mistakes. I've made multiple mistakes in life. And I think that's, as the saying goes, that's how you gain experience, right? Making mistakes and then overcoming those mistakes gives you the wisdom and the knowledge to not make that same mistake again and to warn others about making that mistake. I would say I try to keep my big mistakes to a minimum. I've hit the good fortune with my family and my job, and I think those are big things you want to get right. Of course, starting out with work, you do make mistakes on the job, and with trying out different jobs that aren't the right fit, or working with people that aren't the right fit. And that's how you learn when you have a good job to stay and keep it, because you've had experiences of bad jobs. And the same with relationships. I think starting out, when you're a teen, you learn what not to do in a relationship. So when you're ready, as you have more experience, ready to get married, you know what not to do. Sometimes it's more about what not to do than what to do in those kinds of circumstances. I'm fine with making mistakes. I'll make mistakes, going forward, and I'm sure I'll make future mistakes. Just try to be more cautious and kind of think about the impact of your decisions as you're going through your life, to not just make a mistake that hurt yourself, but maybe a mistake that would hurt other people as well. I think that's, as we get older, we think about how our decisions affect other people more than it affects ourselves. And I think that's a good path or motto to live by. So thank you for that question. And back to you, Table Topics Master. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. That's one of those questions that is extremely tough to answer, I feel, because we all have failed. However, it can be tough and a little unnerving to acknowledge those failures. When that does arise, however, we must remember what Tony Robbins says. Make as many failures as you possibly can in life. Make them all the time. However, learn from each failure. Jim Tantello. I would like to know, as would everybody else, from your long, distinguished life, what is the best life advice you can give?
The best of life. Well, thank you, Mr. Table Topics. The best life, the best advice you could give. Well, I think in my case, the best advice was in marriage. Now, Rosemary and I were both Catholic. We are both products of the Catholic school system through high school. We both come from the same socioeconomic background. Both parents worked, common workers, no businessmen, no entrepreneurs, just plain old people that went out 80 hours a week or 40 hours a week working. And the family structure was similar. Rosemary, on Sundays, they would go to their house, her grandmother's house, for dinner or for lunches. And every Sunday we gathered at my grandmother's house, all of us, for meals. Birthdays were very important. All birthdays were celebrated. My birthday happens to be December the 9th, very close to Christmas. But it was never put onto the fact that we are so close to Christmas, we won't do it. So I think that was probably the best advice I could possibly give to somebody, especially if they're planning to get married. You know, choose wisely. You could have a long life together. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics.
Thank you for that answer, Jim. Choose wisely is definitely something I should have remembered with my first marriage. Thank you. Mary Ravel. Miss
Okay.
Mary. We all have ideas of grandeur and success in our life. Hindsight, however, is always 20/20. Mary, if you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, thank you, Table Topics Masters, because I have given this quite a lot of thought, and I would go back in time and I would be a plumber. Plumbers make lots of money. They can work whenever they want because they are truly essential personnel. They can go on a cruise ship and do plumbing there. They can go to Florida and do plumbing in the winter and back up north to enjoy that lovely summer up there. Make lots and lots of money. My father had a very, very good friend, Willie Fallon. He was a plumber. This guy worked when he wanted. He had a master plumber's degree, whatever credential. You know, he was a journeyman in this field. And there was basically this joke. Doctor calls the plumber to the house. The plumber gives him a bill, and the guy says, look, I'm a doctor, I'm a surgeon, I'm a neurosurgeon. I don't make this money. He said, that's why I gave up neurosurgery. The point here is, you really got to go back and think what's going to make you happy. You can work alone as a plumber, or you can build the Empire State Building as a plumber. But nobody's going to tell you what to do. You're going to tell them what to do, and you're going to get paid for it. Yes, friends, plumbing is where it's at. If you have children, tell them that. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mary. I like to pick up on something that you said, happiness. Do what makes you happy. And I think that's something that we all could do if we went back, is to do something that makes us happy. I wouldn't have seen plumber for you, however. Interesting choice. Session, am I pronouncing that correctly? Session. Would you like to do a table topics? Session for you. I don't know where you are in life. However, what's one change that you would like to make but have not yet made in your life? And that could be professionally, personally, health-wise, anything.
I'm gonna come up to the.
Free range.
All right.
You can see in here.
Okay. All right, thank you for the question. One thing that I wish I would have done sooner would be what I'm doing here today, joining Toastmasters,
Oh,
just be able to speak with people more confidently, get my point across. And now my new role as a mortgage loan officer, I need to be able to communicate effectively with different types of people, get the point across and be more persuasive and delivering my message and helping people. So that's what I would change. And I'm starting that today. Thank you for the question.
You came to the right spot. Oh, a fun fact about myself, I am a raging homebody. Not necessarily. Dan Fila, I have this question for you picked out in particular. What are your success habits?
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, Sage, honored guest. I want to start with the $25,000 success habit. It comes from Bethlehem Steel. The guy couldn't get anything done. The consultant comes in. He says, I can fix it up. He says, we can't get anything done. We know what we need to do, but we can't get it done. He says, write down the 6 most important things you need to do tomorrow. Then order them, starting with 1, going to 2. Guy did that. He says, send me whatever you think. Now, this is 100 years ago. He sent him $25,000, which I don't know how much that would buy today. The idea is things to do list. Okay, and then order it. Even if you only get the one thing done, or even if you get partial thing done, that's the best way to get anything done because you get so many distractions. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing, get in your mind description of what you want. We had kids living on top of each other, 1,800 square feet. I had 9 kids. They're all over. I said, we need a bigger house. So I went to a Brian Tracy seminar up in Chicago. He says, write down in detail what you want. I wrote it down. So much square foot, so many garages, a swimming pool, library, everything. Oh yeah, okay. Well, it took me 3 job changes, 6 years. We moved into that house. So get a clear idea of what you want. Everything else will take care of it. Your subconscious will take care of that. So I write down what I want to do, prioritize it, do some thought of what I want to be or have or do, and write that down. And go to Toastmasters meetings. Mr. Table Topics Master.
The third and most crucial, go to Toastmasters. It's funny. I hear what you say with writing down your to-do list, ordering it 1 through 6, setting your clear goals. And it feels like I've heard that somewhere before. Almost like I've heard it from other successful people, millionaires, billionaires. I wonder if there's something to that. I think there might be. That concludes our table topics for tonight. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Heidi. Thank you for some stimulating questions, Sam. Excellent. Last one, conventional. These are people who like to work with data, have numerical, clerical ability, carrying out in detail, following through on others' instructions. See, it follows along the enterpriser. Every leader needs a conventional person to follow through, to keep the appointment books and so on. Librarians are like this and also very social. They want to help people. One of the last nights of the class, a little retired nurse, Millie was her name. We learned about the conventional jobs and how librarians at this go. Millie was starting to weep. We said, Millie, what is it? Why? And she said, all my life I wanted to be a librarian, but my parents told me to become a nurse because it would be job security. See, all your life you've had these drives, you've been yourself all your life. Now, at a moment, maybe you've heard enough now that you can pick out 3 of these things and get yourself a Holland code. All right. That's the end of my talking. Now the table topics. Yes, let's vote for table topics. We had how many, Sam? 5 people. Jim gave his life advice. Rob gave a success formula. Dan passed on another success formula. Do we have the
Saken up there?
I don't know if he made the time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, Mary, I had to mute you. Mary, can you unmute? Your dog was barking, so I muted you. There you go.
I know, sorry, that's the problem being at home. Someone came up the alley. Yeah, I have them at a minute, so that's enough, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't have him on here because I wasn't sure if he made
It's
it.
my fault, I should have told you.
You can take that as a guide.
Whatever.
Did everyone vote?
Let's see.
Okay.
General evaluator is Rob, isn't it? And that's Sam. Do we have a general evaluator?
We do.
Yes,
Robert.
I'm
Rob.
waiting.
All right, Robert, general evaluator. The meeting is yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guest Saken. I am the general evaluator for our meeting, and my role is to evaluate the meeting. I have a team that will help me along. We have an counter, and we don't have a grammarian this evening, but we do have a timer, and we will also have an evaluator for Dan's speech. It's important to have an evaluator for each meeting to look at what we did well, but also to look at what could we do better. And so that will be part of my evaluation. Well, at this point in time, I'd like to call on our speech evaluator, Edward. And Edward, in your evaluation, could you give us the purpose statement and title of Dan's speech? Thank you. Take it away, Edward.
Yes, thank you, Robert. The purpose of the evaluation is to give an evaluation of our speakers so they can learn from feedback on the speech and how they can improve. Dan's title was Communication Without Words, a perfect title for his speech about body language. And I'm doing it, the hands. body language is very important when we're giving speeches. I think it's more relevant than the actual words coming out of the speaker's mouth, is how they're using their hands, how they're, their gestures. And Dan highlighted that throughout his speech. The intro explained the topic of the speech and his main points. Even he went, very detailed on not just the general body language was the face, hands, arms, but then he got into very detailed about how you have an open palm, closed fist, different movements with your hands, and how the speeches at the TED Talks that were highly rated on YouTube used their hands a lot more than the ones that did not. That was real world data to back up his speech points. He also explained the do's and don'ts. He gave us a call to action at the end on body language and how we should focus on that during our own speeches. The tech was difficult in the beginning. I was impressed how Dan remained calm and just continued on and came up with just presenting it and speaking without getting, I'm sure he was probably frustrated and flustered in his own mind, but I didn't see that come out during the technical glitch that happened. And he had his slides that were backing up his speech, and he couldn't use that. So I'm sure that was frustrating. I would say, with that as a pearl, just test it beforehand if you can. If you can, and I'm sure you will next time, because you've given presentations before where you've shared your slides and you haven't had an issue. So I don't, maybe something changed this time around with a different device and it just didn't work out. But you carried on and you went through with it without any issues there. I liked how you use your hands for emphasis. I think that's important. When you highlighted you told us about the fish story, but even when you use certain words, how you used your hands as a point of emphasis. And you also talked about the different gestures, emotional and descriptional. I think we use our hands in a natural way when we're giving speeches. And with, being in America, that we have a certain way to use gestures that may be interpreted differently from people from different cultures or different countries. So that's something to think about when you're using your body language. I liked how you talked about the different strike zone in Zoom, and maybe that would have been this particular speech. I know you were in Zoom, so you had to give it in Zoom. If you were in person, that might help. You might get more freedom or movement out of the body language examples. Because you're in Zoom and you're contained to that box, you didn't have a lot of room to work with. And that's just a challenge of being in Zoom. But I did like how you explained that and how the strike zone is different in Zoom because it's just that one angle. And you also talked about how the camera is different. You just have that one audience member in the camera versus in the room, you can go back and forth. Overall, as always with your speeches, we learned a lot from them, and I'm looking forward to implementing your body language and paying attention to it more as we give speeches, and I'm sure the other members are as well. So thank you for your informational speech and really enjoyed it. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Edward, for your evaluation of Dan. For the benefit of Saken, Edward used the sandwich technique. He pointed out details of Dan's speech that he enjoyed. He pointed out some good points, and then he gave Dan some pearls, some suggestions for his next speeches, and then he concluded with positive notes as well. a very effective way to give an evaluation. We often call that the sandwich technique. Next, I would like to call on Mary Revelle. Could you give us a timer's report, just a brief one? Give us Edward's evaluation and then just a brief synopsis of the other times.
Well,
Mary.
thank you. Yes, I can do that with pleasure. The timer report keeps us on schedule when you are presenting in your private business, not just in Toastmasters. You want to keep everything moving along and getting all your points in on the time allotted. That's how it's important. Edward gave the evaluation was 4 minutes and 41 seconds. So it said on the schedule it should be 4 minutes long, and at 4 minutes I put the yellow up. So I'm afraid if he went a little over, it might be on me. Okay, I'll start. The meeting started a little late. I'll give you a quick report. It started 3 minutes late. Yeah, right. I have it all written down here. So we had the word of the day, which we didn't get PJ in there. So we didn't have that. Inspirational moment was Robert Maguire. The great Robert Maguire was 3 minutes and 20 seconds with the Marianne Williams brilliance. The humorist was Sam McCart. And I want to say silly cornball took 1 minute and 17 seconds to get all those corny things in there. The educational moment was Edward. He's incredibly efficient in this technology that brings us all together. And he was 2 minutes and 57 seconds and yet said so much. The first speaker was Dan. His speech was 10 to 15 minutes. He went 15 minutes and 15 seconds of spectacularness. Talk about grace under pressure with that tech issue. Robert Maguire. Oh, this is table topics. Robert Maguire. Factors to success. Rocking it, Robert, at 157. Edward, mistakes along the way. 2 minutes, 8 seconds. James P, not Kirk. James had life advice at 1:48, 1 minute, 48 seconds. Choose wisely. I went, and I think it was about 1 minute and 25 seconds, but it felt like 1 hour, just for the record. We had the lovely guest who I really wanted to vote for, but he wasn't on the screen because what he would have changed is would have gone to Toastmasters first, and he was 1 minute. Dan Feela's Success Habits. I always love this. You gave a speak on that. Magnificent. And he was, like I said, 4 minutes. I'm sorry. Like I said, 15, I think it was. And then General Evaluator, you came on with 53 seconds and explained what you do. Rocking it. Did I miss anything?
That's a very thorough report, Mary Revelle.
You said brief, huh?
Thank you very much. It was excellent. Thank you.
Well,
Next, I would like to call on our counter, Mr. Sam McCart.
Thank you, General Evaluator. My role as counter is to count how many times a person uses unnecessary filler words such as so, but you know, double clutches, and that's what a double clutch is. Saying the same thing twice. I tend to be a little bit of a hawk when it comes to these things, and this is only for your benefit. Dan had, oh, and before I get into this, I said last time I did this that we're getting very good with minimizing our filler words. However, I'm noticing a slight uptick in implementing our filler words in unnecessary locations. Yes, that's what a filler word is. However, when you're putting it in place of so you know, so therefore, it's not necessarily a filler word, just an unnecessary word. Without further ado, Dan, 5 uhs, 2 ums, 4 so's, 3 double clutches, and 3 you knows. Rosemary had 2 ahs, 2 ums, 1 double clutch, 1 but. Jim, 1 ah. Rob, 3 so's, 1 double clutch. Edward, 4 ahs, 4 ums, 3 so's, 3 double clutches, and 4 you knows. I had one so, one double clutch, and one you know. Mary, 2 ums and 2 you knows. And our distinguished guest, 1 ah and 1 Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Good job.
Thank you, Sam the Hawk McCart, for your, of course, very detailed counter. You are the epitome of an counter. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep my I see that it is 7:55, and I am going to keep my general evaluation very brief. Well, certainly we had lots of challenges in this meeting. We had technology challenges that caused us to start a few minutes late. But our sergeant at arms demonstrated flexibility and he changed it up. He read our mission statement at the beginning rather than giving us his usual this date in the year, his statistics. So he showed flexibility. Dan, you had some technology challenges, but you rose up to the occasion. And as I said in my chat evaluation to you, you didn't need the PowerPoint. You rocked it. You smiled. You demonstrated what you were talking about. It was outstanding. What could we have done better? I think I want us to be aware of a couple things for our next meeting. One is muting. If you hear sounds coming from your Brady Bunch screen, mute yourself. The second thing has to do with lighting and presence. Now, I had someone tell me today I was too close to the screen, had me step back a little bit. I thought that was very helpful. Sam, your lighting today seemed to come in and out. So right now you're in the dark and your camera is looking down on you. So I don't know if you're having some lighting issues, but it was very hard to see the wonderful facial expressions that you always give us. And Rosemary and Sakin, in your screen from virtual land here in New Hampshire, I can't see you. So if you can get more in the middle, that would be helpful for us to see your lovely smiling face. There you go. Very good. So the concluding pearls is rehearse your screen shares and PowerPoints ahead of time. We're always on a few minutes early. Utilize that time to do that. And that's all I got. It can only go up from here. It's going to get better as we learn and improve. I am done, and I'm going to turn it back to our Toastmaster, Rosemary Tantalo.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob. Yes, quite a challenging meeting, but Sachin has assured me he will come again. He's everything that he wants to achieve, we can help him with. I just want to wrap up my own personal story about this career life planning course. At the very end, the instructor had us go into a deep relaxation mode. And no, he wasn't a hypnotist. It wasn't a woo. He just softened the light, said, really into yourself and picture where are you going to be 10 years from now. And that's what we did. This was May 8th, 1985. Well, I pictured where I was going to be, and even though I couldn't see water, I sensed it. There was water all around. It was a watery place. So I'm thinking, what is that? California, Hawaii, Florida? The first two were out. Now, Florida, my parents were already living in Florida at that time. So I was like, all right, Florida. And I go into my mother's or some kitchen counter. And on top of this kitchen counter was all I could describe it was an electronic Etch-a-Sketch. Remember the Etch-a-Sketch when you were kids? You'd write on it, or you want to erase it, you just lift the pen. Only it was electronic. 1985. You know what it was? was a computer. I didn't even have the words for computer. Well, guess what? On May 8th, 1995, we were signing for our house, our first house here in Florida, in Sarasota. So the power of the mind. We have a very tough-minded professional speaker named Mark Sitchin. And even Mark said, the power of your mind, the power of your mind, you can bend a key, you know, now that sounds kind of crazy, but that Marianne Williams quote is really true. We're afraid of the power we have. We're not stuck by our powerlessness. The mind, we're just beginning to understand the powers that we have. So I look these up. All you need to do is dial up RIASEC, RIASEC. You will find all you need to know about these things. I hope you have a better understanding by now. All of you do. See whether your Hallam code matches up with reality. All right, an interesting meeting. Sachin, would you like to say a few words? What are your goals? What are your dreams? And will we see you next time?
Yes. Yes.
All right, from there.
Okay.
What is your impression of the meeting?
It was very good. I liked it. Like the topic, the flow of the meeting.
All right, now with your permission, he's already filled out a new member profile and goals that he has. So with your permission, Sachin, I'll just hand this to our Vice President of Education. And maybe we'll match you up with a coach or mentor in your time, Very good. And one more visitor, a quality meeting, if not a quantity. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Wait. Don't we have to say who is the best evaluator and the best table topic?
Oh, we
Yes.
never did that. That's right.
Yes,
Edward,
Only because I voted and I want my vote to count.
sure.
thank you.
I have the poll up. Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes. we vote.
Okay.
We vote every time.
Vote whenever you're ready.
So much. Oops, sideways.
I think I voted. Did I vote already?
I know,
I
I
did.
voted.
I
Did you vote for the best evaluator already, Mary?
did. Yeah.
I did. I did.
Okay, for some reason it's not,
Mine would not go through, Edward.
Oh, I thought that, I guess it's not that important. I voted for Robert for evaluator. There you go. Said it. Everybody was excellent though.
let me see if I can do it again.
While we're doing that, do we want to look at I guess we'll do that after we close for the next meeting.
Right.
I'm sorry I said this. Let's end the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason, the evaluator vote, no, I didn't get any votes for that.
That's all right.
Okay. We're running late. So Rosemary, did you end it? Because I will take a roll for next week because I gotta go.
Sure. Yeah, what would you like?
What do you need? What do you got listed already?
Everything.
Everything.
I'm a speaker and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're a speaker. Okay, then I will be I love table topics. I'll take that. And I
Okay.
could be an off calendar too, if you want.
Okay.
Sam's the speaker?
Yes.
Sam's the speaker.
Hey, new guy. Great having you. I'm a realtor. Send me your card and we'll see what we can do, mortgage rep.
Okay, thank you.
Edward, could I, at the educational moment,
Sure.
Oh, did you put your address? Your local?
Okay.
And Edward, today I sent you word of the day because I thought we needed to fill it in, and I had that from a couple weeks ago, but you could disregard that. I'll use it again when it's my turn.
Okay.
Okay, but disregard that. Okay,
Got it.
guys, I love you all. I'm going to the party. Robert,
See
when you
ya.
get down here, call me. I'll show you a place that
All
you
right.
might like it. You
All right,
might
sounds
like it. Try it. Good night, you guys.
Bye-bye.
I'll sign up for, I'll be the Toastmaster. I'll try my hand at the Toastmaster.
All right. GM Edward, been a while.
You need a speech evaluator?
We do.
All right.
Evaluator,
Thank you, Robert.
Rob.
Rosemary, are you interested in anything?
What's left? Rosemary will do what's left. General evaluator?
Yeah, we have that open.
I need to practice that. Very good. I'll do that. This is December 8th,
Correct.
12/8. James, would you like to be humorist or timer? Notice how I said that?
I'll be humorous.
Okay.
James will be a humorist. Jim will be in better humor next week.
I hope.
Sachin, do you want to, are you gonna be here next week?
Yeah.
Do you want to do word of the day?
Oh,
Okay. We'll explain what it is. It's, if you just pick a word to use and then for the meeting,
Yeah.
and then we count how many times people use it during the meeting.
Sachin, did you have any questions? Did you get, I emailed you an application.
Too esoteric, something that you change. and-
Rosemary's explaining the word of the day.
Okay. All right.
Oh, say it out loud, all right. The challenge for picking the word of the day is, don't make it so esoteric that we never use it in speech, but the challenge for the speakers is a word that they can incorporate into any presentation. So it can't be too simple, it can't be too difficult, too far out. Oh, I got a hint. I read an adjective is better, gives you more leeway than just a noun,
Yes.
a descriptive word.
Yes.
Descriptive. And it's easier to use than
You're
Yes.
still recording.
Oh.
Let's turn the recorder off.
Yes, thank you. Would you like me to do a screenshot for tonight?
Uh-huh.
I'll do a quick one. People like seeing our faces.
I think tonight's one night we can forego
That's
it.
what I was gonna say.
Okay, all right.
We need to get to
Pass.
our meeting anyway.